Lagos arrests over 40 people hiding out in cow trucks. Honestly, knowing what is going on in this country right now, knowing all the spread of this coronavirus and everything happening, knowing what is happening in Kano, knowing what is going on all around, this is very, very disappointing. Like, people still keep doing this. It's just very disappointing. But of course, I'm going to try to be as generous as possible in this video. I'm going to be giving the reasons why people may be doing this. Some of those reasons may not be as bad as you may think. And of course, I'm going to be giving the repercussions of what this thing or this kind of action is going to cause to us. So now, but first, before we continue, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video. It's really going to help the channel to grow. And let's begin. Now, the very first thing I want us to understand is that most people doing this are just scared. Some people are scared. They want to run away from those areas where the thing is highly contagious, where the thing is spreading like wildfire, like maybe in Lagos or like places like Kano. People want to escape from those hotspots. That's the reason why some of these people are trying to escape. So a lot of people are doing it not simply because they just want to flout the order of the government, because they just want to do it. So many people are doing it because they don't want to get the virus. So they're trying to flee from that place. So now there is an argument to be made whether that is a reasonable way to do it or not. Whether it is safer for you to risk traveling interstate for you to be able to run away from the virus, or it is best for you to just stay where you are and try to be as socially distanced as much as possible. And then the next reason is because of ignorance. Some people just don't know. Some people just don't know how dangerous it is for you to move around traveling interstate. Now imagine if you're coming back from Kano State. You may not even have anything when you are in Kano State. Well, in the vehicle, or imagine in this cow truck now, you don't know the number of people who have the COVID-19 in the cow truck, and you're traveling with them. You may even get it while in the truck, while you didn't even get it back home. So that's the danger there. So even though you didn't even have it where you were, even though you were in the hotspot, even if you didn't have it back then, there is a huge chance that you may have it while you're trying to sneak between states and running away to a place where you think it's safer. So that's the problem. So why trying to travel from Lagos to Ekiti State, trying to travel from Lagos to Abuja, trying to travel from one place to the other, you might actually contract this disease on the road. That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. It's ignorance on one aspect. So those two reasons, yeah, in a way, they seem stupid, but the fact is you can't really blame people so much for that. And then we get to the aspect where you really, really need to blame people, and that's irresponsibility. Some people are doing it for reasons that are completely out of the question. Some people are going for events. Some people are doing this thing, traveling between states, because they want to go for a wedding, because they want to go for some celebration, some occasion. That's the reason why some people are doing it. Things that can be postponed, things that can, like, you can just postpone it till this thing dies down. But because of selfishness, because people just want to do what they want to do, nobody can control you. It doesn't really matter. They know how to get their way around, and they can bribe the police officers. Of course, that's another problem. The irresponsibility of the police officers in Nigeria. You can just bribe them and keep moving from one place to the other until you get hooked at a particular spot where you can't move anymore. So that's the problem. And this thing is really increasing the spread of this thing between states. It's really, really increasing it. Imagine people trooping from Kano to other parts of the country. Kano is very, very, seriously laden with COVID-19 right now, and they're moving from places to places. So that's the problem. Imagine all the Almajiri the children moving from Kano that are being repatriated, taking them back to the states where they came from. Like, so many of those Almajiri kids are being tested, and many of them are coming out positive. So that's the problem. Now imagine if they didn't even test them before they entered the state, and then they mingled with people. Imagine the number of people that will be infected in those other states also. That's the problem. That's the problem. Imagine those people that might have traveled with them on the same road or whatever. So this thing is very dangerous. We really need to get very, very responsible. That's the problem. Now, another one is that we are risking a worse lockdown. That's just the problem. If this thing gets very terrible to a particular extent, people are going to force us into a situation where the government will have to enforce another lockdown. Many people who need to go out every single day of their lives to be able to fend for themselves, to be able to eat, which of course is one of the reasons why the president had to ease the lockdown. So many people who need that are going to be at a disadvantage now because a couple of guys refused to obey and stay in the state where they are. Now, if this thing becomes very serious in most parts of the country and keeps increasing at this rate, it's going to get to a stage where the president might institute another national lockdown. That's the problem. And it's not only in Nigeria, it has happened in Germany. They were starting to open up and then the thing spiked again and they decided to do what? Go for another lockdown. In China, there have been places in China, some provinces in China where they had to do another lockdown again. So that's the issue. We don't want that to happen here. Our economy cannot handle it. We don't want to have another lockdown. The federal government is admitting so much that the government cannot sustain the population without us going back to work. We don't want to do things that's going to force the government to put us back in another lockdown. So many people are going to go hungry. So many people are going to remain in a destitute state, and there's going to be increase in crime. That's the problem. So we really need to be very, very careful. Even though you may be scared, even though you are ignorant, whatever it is, let us stay where we are at this moment. You can still move around in the state where you are if that state has already eased a little bit of lockdown, but make sure you stay there. And then there's a problem. It becomes more difficult for us to open even more. That is to open up the economy more, because the government is going to feel like they cannot trust people to social distance. They cannot trust people to to stop violating the rules and regulations that's going to help the country to be able to get through this pandemic. That's the problem. If you cannot trust the people, then you are going to be skeptical when it comes to reopening the economy even further, to allow the economy to recover. That's the problem. Even right now, every sort of analyst have already made it clear that Nigeria is going to be in a recession for probably a year or two. That's the problem. So if we have that on ground just by locking down for about a month, what is going to happen if we have to lock down for longer? That's the problem. So let us try as much as possible to be responsible people. Let us stop sneaking in and out of states. Let us stop all these things. Nothing is going to happen to you where you are. Stay where you are. Ride this thing out. If you are very young, there is a huge likelihood that you're not going to die from this thing. So just stay where you are and it's going to be well with you. Anyway, thank you very much for everyone watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel again. Make sure you share with your friends, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next segment.